I am very privileged to spend the next 20 minutes talking with Ben Dancer, who has a fascinating story. He's a very interesting young man. He is also brand marketing, head of brand marketing, director of brand marketing, at Harry's International. And I'm going to bring him on stage in a couple of moments. Once we get a little bit of the chairs cleared here, that would be great. Thank you. So will you join me, please, in welcoming Ben Dancer to the stage? Thank you so much.
Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24-karat magic in the air.
Well, thank you, Ben. Great to meet you in person, in real life, as we say.
Great to meet you. It's an honor.
And what I'd like to do is just basically kick off. I mean, Harry's International, wow, what a journey, right? It's been a phenomenal success, absolutely disrupting a category which has pretty much looked old and grey for a very long time, and very male and stale and pale and all that. But how did you get into your job? I mean, I'd love to, I'm sure we'd all love to hear how you got to be in such a fantastic role.
Sure. So 2017 was the year. I was in my 20s. I was very ready for a challenge that was going to give me a whole bunch of learning opportunity. I'm a builder at heart, so I wanted to join something that was exciting, cool. I cut my teeth at L'Oreal and Starcom MediaVest and Saatchi & then spent a bit of time in a music company. I was ready to leave London. I was feeling quite alienated. And then the Harry's opportunity came along, and I was completely drawn to it. They were just about to launch at that stage. Very drawn to that. I wanted to work, as I say, I was in my 20s. I felt like I wanted to work somewhere where I could really fulfill my learning potential. Interestingly, I just bought a young puppy. Me and my wife bought a puppy over the weekend, and he's 8.5 weeks old. And he's learning so much, he shakes with adrenaline. And I guess when I see him now, that's how I felt at the time. I wanted a shot of adrenaline in my arm just to experience new stuff, to build my trajectory. So it was a great opportunity for me to learn. It was a great opportunity to join a company that was a super exciting life stage. They'd launched in the US in 2013. They'd become a world-class DTC brand at the time, had a major ambition to take it global, with the ambition to go UK first, to prove it out in that market. And I went and I interviewed with the GM, and I had major fear factor. I didn't think I was good enough for the role. But I think they saw my northern grit and hard work and determination, and those are the kind of values that they were looking for.
So you didn't break out into the song Fog on the Time in the interview? Okay, that's a disappointment, but nonetheless.
I actually turned up in a suit, and I got there and everyone was wearing, kind of what I'm wearing now, just nice casual clothing. And I guess what I was really taken to was the team spirit and the ambition and the all-in, all-together ambition that we had. I didn't really know what I was letting myself in for, but I was up for an amazing ride. And 6 years on, I'm still here, and my God, it's been a hell of a journey. So I went in a kind of all-encompassing brand and PR role. It was very hands-on. It was a little bit of lots of different things. We had a team of 8 or 9 at the time. We were based in a little office out of Covent Garden. I'd met the 2 founders, Jeff and Andy. I love them deeply. We're very blessed to have two great co-founders, Jeff and Andy. I guess we'll talk about them a bit more in a second, but yeah, joined. At the time, we were DTC only, we were shave only, we were UK only. We were a very small team. Over the last 6 years, it's become a bigger and bigger beast, multiple men's care categories. We're now at DTC and retail. We're now expanding into different geographies, different brands. The challenge is how you protect the culture that we've built, which has been a large part of our success over the first 6 years as we grow and scale. But it's been an amazing learning trajectory. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It really does. Harry's is renowned, I mean, absolutely, for coming to market through a mixture of creative disruption and viral marketing. I mean, I actually was living in the United States when I'm running an agency over there when Harry's launched in 2013. And I mean, it was like, boom, you know, it was everywhere. And it seemed to win the hearts and the minds of customers really, really quickly. You know, talk us through how the brand's relationship with the consumer has been built, in your view, and I mean, has made you really the envy of the category.
Yeah, I mentioned our two co-founders, Jeff and Andy. So the company was launched in New York. It was founded when Andy, one of the co-founders, had a very frustrating experience in store. He went to a drugstore to buy a pack of razor blades, got to the shelf, saw that the razors were horrifically overpriced. They were locked behind the glass cabinet. He looked at the packaging. They were literally made to look like spaceships. And he thought, this experience could be a little bit less shit. And so Harry's was born. He met with his co-founder. The ambition was to create something that was a bit more relatable, a bit more human, a bit more real. Jeff, the other co-founder, is a very passionate brand advocate and brand thinker. Before launching Harry's, he launched a company called Warby Parker, that some of you might have heard of, glasses company based out of New York, which has become a brand icon, if that's a term that you use, brand-led unicorn, if you like. So he's got a history of launching brand-led unicorns before Harry's, and he's got a very, very strong eye for brand sensibilities of what it means to build a disruptive brand. And I think you saw Andy's frustration, they looked at the category, and then the brand essence was something that they took very seriously from day one. So it was all about subverting the category norms. If you think about the men's care space, and specifically the razor space, I'm sure if I ask you all to think of the dominant shave brand, not only in the UK but the world, you all know the one that I'm thinking of, but the category is dominated by a very perfectionist view of masculinity. The shelf is very cluttersome and confusing. Often a lot of the communication is very corporate and cold. The product experience is quite over-designed, overpriced, like I say, very rooted in mass retail. And I think Jeff saw a lot of those category norms and thought, we can switch that all on its head, and we can use that strength that they've got and use it to our advantage. And so the first 4 years it was built in the US. It was launched as DTC first brand, manual, and then they heard from their customers that subscription was a really unique and interesting opportunity. The DTC subscription engine was born. And my job was to come into the UK and build out a team and, you know, take all of the great brand lessons that the brand was built on in the US and localize it in the UK. And that's what we tried to do over the past 6 years. It hasn't happened by accident. You know, we've been a very small team. And I think when you've got a smaller team with smaller budgets, when you're competing against massive men's care brands in particular, who have multi-million-pound budgets that you're competing against, you know, significant distribution, massive innovation capabilities, you've got to act smarter and more clever with the limited resource you've got. So the emphasis has always been on how can we use our agency partners, how can we use our retailer partners to partner with them to think differently and to think smarter. And doing things differently has been at the helm of everything we've ever done. So, and it wasn't just a case of throwing things at the wall and seeing what landed. We did a lot of comms planning work up front with shout out to our media agency, Good Stuff, who helped us a huge amount from a comms planning perspective. Brothers and Sisters were incredible since launch, and our PR agency. We've tried to use all of our agency partners to build the spirit of doing things differently in the way we buy media, in the way that we come up with our creative campaigns. And what was born was, you know, we were very lucky to be able to put out a whole host of campaigns over the first 6 years. We launched with a campaign called Shaving's Other Guys, which was rooted in the underdog spirit that we have at Harry's, trying to take on the dominant big shave company that you all know. The spirit of the launch was basically, what could they not do? We would only do something if they couldn't do that. So it was the antithesis of what they could do in the market. So we launched tonally, it was very down to earth, it was very self-deprecating. We launched with a big bearded billboard in Shoreditch in East London, and the headline message was, East London, everyone's got beards, the worst place to launch a razor brand. It was all about illustration and, you know, nothing to do with the typical tropes of masculinity, no celebrities with chiseled jawlines, six-pack abs holding a razor. Very human, very down to earth, very relatable. A big thing about Harry's and the way we like to talk to our guys is, if you think about the Harry's essence, it's all around honesty, charisma, and performance. And I think the honesty and the charisma piece in particular stand to be true with what we've done in the UK so far. We probably take the honesty piece a step further, and what we like to talk about, and this is true of our internal team as well, is this idea of vulnerability. So if you think about the big shave brands or the big men's care brands, a lot of the way that they portray themselves is this very perfectionist, they know everything, can be quite patronizing from time to time, depending on what brand you're coming across. And our idea was to strip all that away, be very vulnerable in conversations with our customers, be very upfront and say, you know what, sometimes we don't have the right answers, but we're going to be here, we're going to be your wingman on this journey of exploration in the shave category and beyond together, and actually partner with you and have interesting conversations and bring you into the journey. And so, yeah, that's a bit about, I suppose, the up and down.
Your difference, doing things differently has actually become almost like your internal motto, no? So how will that manifest itself as Harry's evolves into the future? How do you see that difference becoming real in real life?
Yeah, I think it's a constant market orientation, staying true to your customer, having constant conversations. We talk a lot about the idea of the marketing flywheel, so trying to basically maintain and build a reciprocal product experience and a brand experience around the need of the customer. And I think that's the only way to maintain your difference, is to utilize the platform that we've built, utilize the constant, we've had hundreds of thousands of conversations, particularly through our DTC platform at this point, with our customers. We have a world-class customer experience team who have daily phone calls, everyone who works inside at Harry's. We have a initiative called Customer at the Core, where everyone who works at Harry's spends time on the phone to customers.
Wow.
And it's just a constant evolution to make sure that we're building brand experiences which are meaningful to people, either connect meaningfully with people or allow the brand to say something about who they are, and build product experiences that are exceptional, so exceptional quality, but at prices that are more than worth it. And I think that's the thing that keeps me up at night, honestly, is bottling that idea of what we've tried to do over the first 6 years as we scale the business, bottling that connection we've got with the customer and building it over time. But I think the internal muscle is probably one of the secrets, the secret sauce of Harry's. So, like I said, there's what I was impressed with before I joined Harry's was the absolute emphasis on humanity and people. It sounds a bit trite, but those who've worked at Harry's by now, they go through the experience of working at Harry's and they talk about the emphasis on people. We've got an award-winning internal culture. We've won Campaigns Award for Best Office 3 years in a row, I think 2 or 3 years in a row. There's a massive emphasis on internal people conversations and people management, an internal spirit of failing fast to learn fast, encouraging vulnerable conversations, encouraging direct and honest feedback. And coming back to the idea of when I was in my 20s and trying to find a company that I could fulfill my potential, I wanted somewhere that I could go in, put everything I'd learned into practice, but in an environment that felt really safe and motivating and energizing. And I think that is probably the secret source of Harry's. It feels a bit nerve-wracking talking about it, but it's something that you can't replicate that we've built up over time.
Sure.
So the external focus on people is as true as our internal focus on people as well. So the truth is, harnessing the internal muscle, continuing to harness the conversation with customers through the DTC platform and beyond as we scale. That's how we're going to stay different.
It certainly sounds very authentic as you're talking about it, Ben, honestly. I really mean that. But you've been no stranger at Harry's to being a vocal proponent of positivity towards men's health, and wellness in general. And, how does that... you talked there about the authenticity of how it reflects what you're doing with the customer and how you behave internally in your organization. But how do the just genuine purpose of around wellness and positivity, how does it help the brand's success, do you think?
Yeah, I would say, so my perspective on purpose is that, fundamentally, I personally believe that capitalism with heart is something that we should all be aspiring to. I say that, and I understand personally that not everybody is looking for purpose-led brands. I've sat in some of the talks today, and I watched some of the talks yesterday, and I've heard Chris from Ben & Jerry's talk about it, and Charlotte talk about previously. Of course, Gen Z in particular, there's a lot of talk about how they're looking for brands who can talk meaningfully to them in terms of what they're trying to deliver beyond product, and purpose is an important thing. I don't believe that businesses need a strong purpose beyond product to be successful, but I think that I feel lucky to work for a brand that is purpose-led, that has used it as part of its core DNA to do not just good for the business, but also to do good in the world. At Harry's is something that we have taken very seriously. We operate in the men's care space, which means that we have a duty to care for men. Harry's was launched day one with a 1% social mission, which means that 1% of our global revenues go to our social impact initiatives. We spent a bunch of time at launch, not only in the US, but in the UK, talking to non-profit charity partners and non-profits to understand how we can help men. And through those conversations, it became really clear that at the time, particularly 6 years ago, there was a big conversation around masculinity and the crisis of confidence in men. Obviously, it's still very true to the day. And we've done a load of interesting work in that space. We've partnered with the likes of Calm. We've partnered with BetterHelp globally. We did a big project with ITV, which some of you might have seen on Project 84. We partnered with UCL and Calm to launch, it was called the Harry's Masculinity Report, which at the time was the biggest study of its kind into positive mentality behind men in the UK. And what we care about is trying to measure our impact alongside our business impact, and we've got specific KPIs that we set against our social impact initiatives. So for example, globally, we've impacted over 700,000 men. We've donated over $5 million. We've got an aspiration to provide better mental health access to men globally to over 1.5 million people by 2025. And, it's one of those things where, actually, what's interesting at Harry's is we've done loads of really interesting stuff. The initiative we did with ITV on Project 84 led to the first Minister of Suicide being implemented in Parliament. So there's proven impact that comes out of the initiatives that we've driven. We don't actually talk about it externally probably as much as we should or maybe could. But it's what's important, I think, and what's been a part of the success of having this purpose is that it's very true to our brand DNA. Our brand purpose as a brand is to help guys find the confidence to carve their own path. And again, coming back to the brand essence and subverting category norms, again, if you think about the perfectionist view of masculinity that we were playing into when we first launched the brand, it's helping guys navigate the one-dimensional conversation around masculinity and helping them express themselves. And grooming, we know through conversations with guys, can be an important part of them finding inner confidence. So it's very true to our DNA. It feels very effortless, which is what I think purpose should feel if you're going to utilize it. It's measurable. It's easy for us to manage as a team. We have specific KPIs set against it. So although there are obviously external benefits to having a strong purpose and being purpose-led, and I know there are a ton of surveys, particularly I've seen the Kantar one, which is around brand power correlates with brand purpose, and those are the ones which over-index in market share. So there are a lot of tangible results. There's obviously, beyond that, there's internal benefits as well. And I think that coming back to the point of view on the point I was saying before, on building the mission-driven muscle within the team, which is the thing that I'm so passionate to protect and harness as we scale. A big part of that is people come to Harry's now and they want to work for something they can give real impact back in the world. And it's true, and I think it's true if you speak to anybody at Harry's, they feel the purpose and they want to really, truly impact guys at an eye to eye level in the category and beyond. That's why they want to work at Harry's. It's one of the reasons they're proud to be there. So in summary, to answer your question, there are obviously external benefits, there are internal benefits. I feel really grateful and honored that I've been able to work for such a purpose-led brand. And it definitely, coming back to, I was just listening to Charlotte Bloom-Wild talk before around, you asked me, sorry, Mary, before, how do you manage or how do you know that it's part of your success? I think one of the other successes at Harry's that I've been keen to try and protect and I'm grateful for is the balance or the knowing between long-term brand building and short-term performance marketing. And I think We try and be very thoughtful, we try and be very evidence-based, we try and build that muscle in the team. But there comes a point, especially when you've got limited budgets and a limited insights team and a limited resource, that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted, and you've just got to go with a feel. And for some of the social mission stuff, we know it's part of our brand essence, it's part of our brand DNA. It feels right to be doing it.
100%. So, last question.
Sure.
And that is, you've been there 6 years, you've, built this phenomenal brand in the UK. What do you see, if you could fast forward to 6 years from now, where would you like to see Harry's?
Continuing to impact millions and millions of people across the world. Continuing to subvert category norms, particularly the damaging ones. Continuing to internally harness everything I've turned about, the spirit of providing a platform to people to come and work at Harry's and truly fulfill their potential and have this amazing learning journey that I have. And continuing to do truly amazing impact-led social mission initiatives to try and shift the needle around the conversation around masculinity and, open up the conversation around masculinity and making guys feel more comfortable around who they are, opening up, and expressing themselves authentically.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ben
Thank you so much.
Dancer.
Thank you.